button-down shirts. The fabric grazed her thighs, swaying softly as moonlight traced her outline. When her eyes met mine, she didn't speak. She didn't need to. Something unspoken passed between us, charged and dangerous. "Lucas, go get some sleep," she murmured, barely above a whisper. "This isn't right." But her eyes, they said something else entirely. I hadn't chosen this path. When David married Elena, I'd been 22, still struggling to adjust to losing my mother, to accept that another woman now lived in her place. He'd met Elena on a research trip to Washington State. 3 whirlwind months later, she was moving into our home, rearranging rooms, repainting walls, and filling the silence with her quiet grace. Elena was hard to ignore. Early 30s, elegant, tall, with a calm presence that made people gravitate toward her without trying. She didn't need attention. She simply drew it. I kept telling myself the discomfort would fade. But then David left for a 3-day business conference, and suddenly it was just the 2 of us. She offered to cook dinner. I should have declined, but I didn't. The kitchen felt smaller that evening. She poured me wine without asking my age. We talked about college, jobs, ordinary things. Yet every time I looked up, her gaze lingered, soft but intent. Later that night, she curled at one end of the couch, knees tucked under her, swirling the wine in her glass. "Do you resent me for marrying your dad?" she asked quietly. "No," I said, honestly. "I just never figured out where I fit anymore." She nodded slowly. "Neither have I." Something softened in her then, something human and tender and lonely. For the first time, I saw her not as David's wife, but as someone who carried her own shadows. That night, I couldn't sleep. On my way downstairs for water, I found her again, standing in the same place by the window, the moon behind her like a halo. "Lucas," she whispered, "go to bed, please." But neither of us moved. It felt like the entire room was holding its breath. From that moment forward, the air between us changed. The days that followed felt like a quiet, unbearable tension. Elena acted perfectly normal. She smiled, she made breakfast, she asked about my classes. But her eyes lingered too long. Our hands brushed too often. I tried to keep my distance. Shift changes, errands, anything to stay busy. But she left notes, short ones. "Eat something. Laundry's on the chair. Don't forget your keys again." Each one with a tiny smiley face, small, harmless things that somehow felt like threads tying us closer together. One morning, I came down to pancakes and the smell of fresh coffee. Her hair was still damp from the shower. "Thank you," I said. She shook her head gently. "Don't thank me. You're part of this family." The way she said it, softly, heavily, made me wonder whether it was a reminder or a confession. When David returned that Sunday, everything looked normal. They laughed, they shared stories over dinner. She leaned into him like any wife would. But when I walked past her chair, she brushed my arm lightly. "You sleep all right this weekend?" she whispered. My pulse stumbled. The storm hit 3 weeks later. I was in the garage tuning my bike when the door creaked open. Elena stepped inside, soaked from the rain, barefoot, trembling. "I locked myself out," she said. I handed her a towel, avoiding her gaze. But her blouse clung to her skin, and for a moment, the world seemed to slow. "I miss being seen," she whispered suddenly, voice cracking. "Not admired, not used, just seen." I looked at her, this woman who always kept herself composed, and I realized how much she hid. "I see you," I said. She stepped closer. Her hand brushed my cheek, hesitant but deliberate. Then she kissed me, soft, trembling, inevitable. She pulled away first. This can't happen again, she breathed. I nodded, though deep down, we both knew it wasn't the end. When David found a photo on my phone weeks later, an unplanned picture of Elena laughing in the backyard, everything nearly collapsed. "Why do you have this?" he demanded. Before I could answer, Elena stepped in smoothly. "It's for the anniversary slideshow. He was helping me." David didn't believe her. Not fully. After that night, he watched us closely. Elena withdrew. The warmth I'd grown used to vanished, replaced by distance and polite smiles. Then, the day before I was supposed to leave for university, she knocked on my bedroom door. "I shouldn't be here," she whispered. "I know. I'm sorry." I shook my head slowly. "I'm not." Her smile trebled, sad, beautiful, full of every emotion we'd tried to bury. She kissed me one last time, lingering just long enough to burn a memory. "I'll always carry you with me," she said. And then she walked away. The next morning, I left the house with my bags and a hollow ache in my chest. Life outside felt normal again. Cars passing, birds calling, the world moving on. But nothing inside me felt normal anymore. Years later, I still remember her. Not with guilt, not with anger, but with a quiet understanding. Some connections aren't meant to lead anywhere.